It's 6:30 and we're now in November, in case anybody else is having trouble keeping track of time like I am. Tonight's primary focus and presentation is going to be from the counseling department about career and college planning. So we're going to be allocating a good chunk of our meeting time to Dr. Soda and Ms. Chasen, I believe. But first things first, just as a reminder, everyone who signs into the meeting is muted, and we do that just to keep things calm and quiet. Any questions that you have, please put them in the chat. We are going to have, as we always do, an update from President McKenna. And there is a new link in the chat as well to use for signing in to let us know that you signed in for Title I engagement purposes. So I think, can somebody just confirm with a thumbs up or something that you can see the slides before I get going? Yeah, okay, good. All right, so let's see. We already covered this. So I think, Tim, we're up to you now for your update.
I'm here, ready to go.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. So we made it through the first quarter in a historic year in a virtual world. And I think it's something that we need to celebrate with our students, with your children, with us as a community. It's been a challenge. We've tried to make adjustments on the fly, and we're going to continue to do so this year. And I appreciate all of your support, all of your patience, all your flexibility. And I just want you to hear that from me, that it has been a challenge, no doubt about it. Emotionally, it's stressful. I know I have children of my own that are in a virtual world. And me being in a virtual world, as I'm at Central with about 10 other people every day. And for me to sit in my office on November 18th and not have a child in the building is challenging for me. You know, I've been in the district almost 25 years, and working with students is the best part of the job. And I feel a lot of stress. I've taken on and practiced mindfulness. I've talked to the teachers about doing things that make them happy and relax, and the same thing with the students. So as a community, we need to continue to work together and be patient and get through this together. And we will be back at Central. I promise you that. I don't know when, but we will. So I have notes, and these updates will be published hopefully soon by Heidi. I sent them to her earlier today. I want to start by thanking the Home and School Board. I know that the Home and School Association has been raising funds to support us with purchasing new computers for our teachers, and we're going to be ordering them next month. So I thank the Home and School and all the members of our parents that have been supporting that fundraising. So I'll go through the different updates I have, and I just put them in groups. So the first one is all around equity and inclusion. I'm happy to report that Elizabeth Williams-Wesley, one of our social studies teachers, was selected to be our Director of Equity and Inclusion. We had to backfill her position, so she'll be moving into it formally, hopefully this Monday, the 23rd. Very excited to have her on board in this new position at our school. And we have a lot of work to do. She's going to be leading a lot of the work. So she was selected by a group of student leaders, myself, and a member of the Alumni Association. So we're happy to have her on board in this new job. In the same area, Mr. Johnson, our new climate manager, Alonzo Johnson, has been working with student leaders to create something called the Nexus Team. This is a program in conjunction with the School District of Philadelphia's Office of Climate and Safety. It's going to be a program that we're going to run during advisory, but right now we're trying to recruit 80 to 100 student leaders to be a part of this program. And the idea is for us to develop student leaders who can facilitate conversations around all kinds of different topics. We want to build a stronger community. We think that part of our mission statement is to develop the leaders of the next generation. So we want to train students properly and have them have support with advisors and facilitate these conversations. So that is coming. That's one of the goals that we set forth this year. Mr. Johnson has been working with a group of 17 current students. So we're trying to grow that group to 80 to 100 so we can do formal training coming soon. The faculty and staff continue to do work with Dr. Ali Michael. Professional development sessions have been focusing on developing a positive multicultural school community for our students. The faculty and staff have upcoming PD sessions with Dr. Michael in December, January, February, and March. So we're continuing our work. And it's been powerful work, and it's been terrific work. Our teachers have engaged, and our staff have engaged in the work, and we want to continue to grow. As you know, as lifelong learners, we want to grow, and we want to make sure all of our students feel a part of our community. Performing arts update. This information will be coming out later, but the Arts at Central presents a winter celebration of the arts. So that's going to be on December 22nd at 7 o'clock. We will send out information. I will send it out to parents through the portal, but students will get that information. So the arts department is still going to do something this year. We can't do the winter concert, obviously, but this will be taking place on December 22nd at 7 o'clock. More information to follow. Congratulations to the class officers that were elected. The 280, I'll just read the senior names. Julia Pastor is the new president of the 280. Callista Gunawan is the vice president. Kenny Chu is the secretary, and Celia Duhan was elected treasurer this year. The next group of elections will be for student association, and that will happen this Friday. So we will have more elections for our student leaders. It's taken us a little time to get back and get things in place, but we do have a senior cabinet, a junior cabinet, and a sophomore cabinet at this point. We had our virtual freshman tea last week, which went well. 56 different clubs made presentations. Traditionally, we do the freshman tea during one day at school. We had to spread it out over 3 days between 3 and 6 o'clock at night. So I appreciate Ms. Harrington, assistant principal, and Gail Cervantes, the leader of the sponsor of the Student Association, and all the club leaders that worked from 3 to 6, three nights last week to present their clubs. 53% of the clubs said that they had at least 1 to 10 people show up. 2 clubs had 20 plus students at their presentations every time they ran one of their programs. So, you know, it's not perfect, but we're trying to continue and bring as much of a sense of normalcy as we can. So very happy about that. This Monday is an exciting day. The Alumni Association will be running their annual career day between periods 1 through 5. We have 86 members of the Alumni Association signed up to present to students virtually. So traditionally this would be in person. This year, obviously we had to switch to virtual, but the Alumni Association truly stepped up. They wanted this tradition to continue, and we've made it work. So your children will hear from alums this Monday. On December 4th, we will be holding our Barnwell Chapter National Honor Society induction program virtually, but that will happen on December 4th. More information will be coming about that. We're going to hold our first annual virtual poetry contest at our school, and that will take place on Thursday, December 10th. More information will be coming out to all of the students. So if your child's a poet, they can share. Even virtually, we're going to continue these kind of events. The 280 senior class Barnwell Honors Convocation will take place on Friday, December 18th. We celebrate senior academic accomplishments, including AP and IB, National Merit Scholarships, AP Scholars, and Straight A Honor Roll. So that's always a big day. Alums are involved with that. We'll have a music presentation. So we will continue that as well. So again, the Barnwell Honors Convocation will take place on December 18th for seniors. Parent-teacher conferences, I know that was a big deal. We took a lot of time. I spoke with a lot of principals around the city, how we coordinate that. I did send out information regarding that today. I emailed it to all the parents. So please follow those directions. Go into, and you can sign up for a slot with Sign Up Genius. Reminder, please do not sign up for more than 1 slot per teacher. We had a couple parents sign up for 3 slots in a row. You can't take a teacher for 30 minutes. We got to share the teachers. And I know that it's not perfect. We don't have enough slots for every single teacher if every parent wants to meet with that teacher. So the teachers will be available to meet with you. They'll set appointments up with you after. You can just email them directly if you can't get a time slot. But I would just make sure you only sign up for 1 slot per teacher that you're meeting with. If you have any questions or concerns about Sign Up Genius or the report card conferences, you can email one of the assistant principals and they can give you some support with that. I also emailed a link and we'll be sharing a link with the parent engagement survey through the Title I office. So if you can take a little time, we have until December 11th to complete that. We're asking for parent input. The school district is asking for parent input. So I did share that with you today in my email. We will go back and we're going to have some class town halls. So class sponsors have scheduled them. This Friday, seniors will be meeting with Ms. Kincaid and a number of other invited guests from the staff. 281 will be meeting Monday with Mr. Horowitz. He already had one last week, but he's going to have another town hall. If you know Mr. Horowitz, he likes to do 2 or 3 different events, which is great. Ms. Zesserman will be meeting with members of 282 on Tuesday, 11/24. And 283 will be meeting with Dr. Soda next Wednesday, 11/25. So that information will be blasted out to them, but I just wanted you to know that we're going back and having some more class town halls. So next, okay. So I've had conversations with parents and some students and some teachers around the daily bulletin. So the daily bulletin is something, if you're new to our school, it's something we used to put out every day, and we would go out to advisors, and advisors could share information. We haven't done that this year, and we've decided that we're gonna make that happen in a different way. So we're gonna create a Google site, and we're gonna call it the Daily Bulletin Google site. Mr. Johnson is working to set this up with Mr. Inamorata, who's our tech specialist, and teachers will be able to send things to Mr. Johnson. He will upload them onto the site. We will take down old messages and continually update it. I will send out the link to all parents once it is developed. We are working on it. You can click on the link. It'll be also an area right on the webpage where you'll be able to see a daily bulletin. So there'll be 2 ways to access it. I hear you. I know that there's a lot of more communication would be helpful. So we're working at that. And I'll send out the link to this new Google site, the Daily Bulletin Google site, as soon as we finalize it and get it up and running. Social emotional learning, I just wanted to say that, you know, if you didn't know, we've canceled midterm examinations. There are no community service requirements. We know that there's a lot of stress. We hear that. So we're trying to cut back on the requirements like that this year. We want to make sure that students' social emotional well-being stays strong as it can. Currently, our attendance is higher than last year, and many other schools are not dealing with the same kind of success with attendance. So we want to make sure that our students are motivated to continue to work hard, but we have to be realistic about expectations. So we are having those conversations. I will be meeting with the faculty again on Friday to talk about that. We want to make sure that we listen to our students, survey our students, and quite frankly, I've asked the teachers to dial it back if they need to. They need to have conversations with the students and do what's necessary. And I'll tell you what I told them. I don't really care about AP and IB scores this year. You will rarely hear that from Tim McKenna, but I'm saying that right now, that my expectation is that our students' well-being is critically important, and our teachers' well-being, and your well-being. So I think that it's not going to be a normal year. I don't know if we're going to walk back into school. We may walk back into school. I don't have any information other than what we're reading from Dr. Height and the health experts in the city, but I want to make sure everyone is okay. So I did list all of the counselors' email addresses so that you know who your child is assigned to if you don't know already. And if you see something, you need some assistance, email one of the counselors. They will get back to you. Email a member of the admin team. I've said this every time I've spoken with parents. We're here to support you. Finally, Thanksgiving break is next week. Obviously, next Thursday and Friday, there won't be any school. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, we will be running the Friday half-day schedule to accommodate parent-teacher conferences. Okay, so that's a lot, and I really didn't want to take that much time. I want to turn it over to Dr. Soda as quickly as I can because she's got a lot of information to share about college and career readiness. It's good to be with everyone tonight. And again, if you need anything, reach out to us. We're here to support you. I'm sure there's some questions, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and start sharing again because I am not seeing the chat. So yeah, okay. Now I see a whole lot. Deb, I don't know if you've been monitoring, if you want to start going through some of the questions, and I will get my screen share back up.
Oh, you know what? Before the question comes up, 279 yearbooks will be in the building within 2 weeks. So we already had the panoramic photo for 279. If there's any 279 parents on here, and if the question has been asked, I've been on with the yearbook plant over the last couple of days. They promised me within 2 weeks they will be in the building. They're supposed to ship by November 30th. So we will have the yearbooks. I'm also waiting on the 279 tassel trinket that goes on the tassel. So we want to be able to distribute that. I know that the city is shutting down. I will still be at Central. The team that is working at Central will still be at Central. And if things need to be distributed to students, we will still be there to do that. So 279 parents will be getting something soon about when we're going to schedule pickup times. We're going to spread it out over a couple of weeks so students can just come in and pick things up they need to pick up. Go ahead, Heidi.
Okay, so there's one that's just a reminder that Central, the Arts at Central will be performing a Christmas Carol in early December. The Google link, if anybody can't find the Google link, Shanice reposted it and it is at like 6:44. I'll keep reposting it throughout because if you log in afterwards, you won't be able to see it.
And that link she's talking about is for signing in.
I'm sorry, yeah, a sign-in link. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I think every question was about the link to sign in.
Okay.
Oh wait, does Central have an active school advisory council?
It's connected with the Home and School Association.
Yeah, Tracy, I know you're on if you want to answer that one.
Yes, because of the fact that we have a number of groups, parent groups, student group, teacher group, alumni group, we have been given permission to handle all SAC related issues through the Home and School Association. But if you have any other questions and you want to contact me, I'll put my email in the chat and you can email me and I will help you with anything you need to know.
Okay, since 11th graders are not taking the PSATs, will they be ineligible for the National Merit Scholar Program?
We have petitioned to use a prior score from years past. We have not gotten an answer yet. That has been granted in the past from what Mrs. Johnson-Smith, who's worked at Central for a long time, has told us. So we asked that question. We do not have an answer yet, but they may be able to use their 10th grade score for that competition. When I know, I will let you all know.
Heidi, somebody asked, can the slide with the counselor names go back up?
Yeah, the slide with the counselor names is, I know Tim mentioned it in his update, and those will go into the minutes and we'll put those on the website. They're also built into the counselor's presentation about career and college planning. So they will come back up on the screen.
How do 11th graders apply for the National Honor Society?
They can email Mr. Hover, who's now the sponsor of the National Honor Society. He was selected for the position about a month ago, so they should email Mr. Hover directly. I don't have his email address at the top of my head, but can you look that up, Tracy, and put that in the chat? All right. So Tracy Scott will look that up, and Ben Hover, Mr. Hover, is the teacher that they should email directly.
And that's all the questions.
Okay, I'm going to move these slides along. I believe we've got Dr. Soda and Ms. Chasen on, so you all can. Oh, well, there's the slide. Start your presentation. I will just tell me next slide and I'll go through these for you.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Hi, for those of you that don't know me, this is like a bizarre way to connect from a counselor perspective, but I'm Dr. Christine Soda, and I am joined somewhere in virtual world by Alana Chasen. And we have been tasked with supporting your children through this unprecedented time of virtual learning. The first slide just sort of represents who we are as a department. For myself, I am the lead counselor with administrative responsibilities, executive cabinet, supporting administration. I also work with the IB students in 11th and 12th grade. And for whatever reason, I thought that being the 9th grade sponsor in a pandemic was the best idea in the world, and it has proven to be. So I also support all the 9th grade students in terms of transitional stuff to Central in a virtual world. So the rest of the counselors, there's 4 additional counselors, Kelly Coots, Alana Chasen, who is actually on this call with me.
Hello.
There she is, Jolene Morrow and Mrs. Wardlaw, who split students in grades 10 through 12. Like Mr. McKenna said, next slide, Heidi, please. Like Mr. McKenna said, if you or your student has a question, a concern, a thought, a feeling, needs support, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to your child's counselor. If you do not receive a response back, the rule of thumb is 24 to 48 hours response. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me as the department chair or to an administrator, especially around concerns related to mental health. I will tell you, and Ms. Chasen and the administrative team can acknowledge that this year we've seen a high number of kids battling mental health issues. I know that as parents, your students are struggling virtually. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. And it has been super, super challenging for counselors, teachers, administrators to support the students the way we would in an in-person sort of environment. Some parents have told me that that is an excuse that we're sort of hiding behind. It's really, really hard when kids are saying, I can't do virtual, when the district's program is virtual learning. So we are open to suggestions, we're open to support, we're open to anything, any ideas that you may have. We're encouraging the students to create little study groups, virtual study groups. We're encouraging, next slide, please. We are, trying to deliver service in the way that we know how, with the caveat that it's virtual. We're having individual meetings with students. We're having assembly programs with class sponsors to deliver information. We're doing advisory visits. We did intro visits in the beginning of the school year. Each of the counselors did college boot camps or workshops, depending on what they called them, for our seniors. We will be doing college-related work with juniors in the spring. Alana coordinated over 40 college reps that came, quote unquote, air quotes, and did virtual sort of college visits with our students that were well attended, some with over 50, 80 kids that participated. There was a financial literacy night. We partnered with Arcadia University, and he provided some information for our parents. That information was sent to the home and school. And we're also sort of using Google Classroom as sort of the main platform, since that's what's sponsored by the district in terms of disseminating information through class sponsors with class sponsors. Next slide. So before I go into the college planning tool of Naviance, which it seems like, what the nuts and bolts are, counselors have spent a lot of time around mental health with students. Parents who are unaware, we have been having students evaluated with parent consent through CORA, which is considered our community umbrella agency. They've been doing virtual assessments. There is documentation that parents have to fill out. If that's something that you or your student or you feel your student may benefit from, please do not hesitate to reach out and we can sort of coordinate and get that paperwork to you. Each counselor has a Google Voice number. If email doesn't necessarily work, we've been calling parents using Google Voice. There's a level of sort of confidentiality and anonymity in that versus us using our personal cell phones. So each of us have those. And your counselor, your child's counselor can certainly provide that to you for a phone call. We have had an increase, of students who've been evaluated and hospitalized, unfortunately. So while we're still sort of, as a college prep institute, we still, certified over 380 early action, early decision applications. Seniors are receiving acceptances to honors colleges and, pretty prestigious institutions. And we will certainly share that information and data as that comes in. So it's not been a year in my 18 years as a counselor. It has not been a year of familiarity in terms of each day, each student. This pandemic is personal. This pandemic has landed on families in a way that I've never seen before, in terms of multiple family members sort of being impacted. So our work has changed and is different than what it has been in the past, and not just from a virtual perspective, but from a perspective that we each recognize that each student's needs are different. And so our days are filled and packed. And so if you're looking for support, needing support, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out and email. So in terms of like the college planning piece, which I know kind of is the nuts and bolts, where to start, the district supports a program called Naviance. And Naviance is a college planning tool, an application tool that allows students to begin as early as third grade to complete certain tasks. Grades 3 through 12 have task completion items based on the HSA, or the Every Student Succeeds Act, Pennsylvania's Future Ready Index, to meet certain standards. So I'm not going to go through and read every slide. I'm assuming, Heidi, that this presentation will be posted and presented. I see that it's going to be recorded. Again, if there's questions, you could certainly put them in the chat. But just to give you an example of what kids are doing, like I have my 9th grade students now yesterday, and moving on this week, they'll be creating academic and career SMART goals, which are specific, the S, measurable, attainable, relatable, and then time sort of based or timely. So an academic goal for a kid could be, I am going to attend tutoring 3 days a week and to improve my algebra grade in Miss Allbuck's class, for example. I'm going to secure a mentor in an effort to learn more about pre-med track or something like that. Junior year gets a little bit more specific into the college piece. Sophomore year, they're looking into, strengths, where their strengths are, potential career interest matching. Junior year, they're super match college search, creating a resume, building a budget, which I think is super important for kids to kind of think about. And then senior year, the tasks are specific to the college application piece, requesting transcript, teacher recommendation, how to compare FAFSA award letters. Next slide. So just in terms of like counseling, and planning by grade, we do all this, and I mentioned it a little bit ago, but just to reiterate, for 9th and 10th grade this year, with the caveat that all of this was virtual, the counselors have been in the advisories, educational, college and career College Possible presentations where we had outside agencies, College Possible presenters talk about the actual college process and the fact that it's never too early to start. We'll be having course selection assemblies in the spring. And then Google Classroom platform is how we really sort of share information with our students. In 11th grade, you know, before we went into the pandemic, our 11th graders took advantage of our Kickoff to College assembly program, where basically we kind of model that presentation off of a Step Up to College guide, which I know Heidi, I believe, will share with you guys, that has a lot of great resources in terms of timelines and where students should be and how they should sort of approach 11th grade and 12th grade both. Students have access to the college rep visits. And then the Naviance tasks really sort of bring everything together. Next slide. So when we're thinking about this college fit research really comes from the Step Up to College guide. Our conversations with students really start in 9th grade about what is their fit, you know, and the students turn their head and kind of nod and I have no idea, which is the right answer. When we think about fit, you know, the Naviance planning tool, counselors, family, legacy, strengths, SAT scores, transcript, really should really inform students' fit decision. And that's, does a school, does a college fit academically? Does it fit socially? And does it fit financially? So the obvious would be, you know, academic. Does it have the major? Does it have the programming? Does it have internships, co-op opportunities? Social, does it have the, you know, the social aspect? If there's a religious affiliation that you're looking for, does it have that? Does it have service, you know, fraternities, sororities? And financial is a big one. Financial, is it affordable? I'm sure that parents, all of you are sort of thinking about, I know some parents have students who are in college right now, having that financial sort of understanding of affordability. Many parents I talk to say, oh, well, my kid can go anywhere, we'll make it work. Well, I think that that's a family decision and it's not for me to say, but I think one of the questions becomes at what cost, right? You know, taking out a parent loan for $100,000 times 4 years seems at a high cost. So having that conversation with your students around affordability, I think is important. And that Step Up to College guide will really talk and ask your students questions. We share that information with the students and usually use it as a guide to sort of have our conversations with kids. Most of our students, I would say a good 75% of our students think about medicine and law, pre-med and pre-law, right? But they'll say in the same breath, but I don't like science and I don't like math for pre-med. I think that that's our opportunity as counselors to really speak to the student about other options that might be better suited for them. So those are the sort of conversations that can happen, you know, up through and including senior year, with the understanding that 99% of first-year students in college will change their major once, if not twice. So, you know, there's no guarantees, but I think setting the stage and doing the sort of groundwork and having a foundation is a good jumping off point for students when they're thinking about applying. Next slide, please. So how to get started, I talked about the academic fit. As I mentioned, our seniors are in the throes of application, applying to schools now. Like I said, we had over 380 applications that were certified for the next topic, admissions options. So there's 3 main options that students consider, seniors, when applying to college. The first is the 2 designations of early action, EA, or early decision, ED, and then regular decision. I'll talk about early decision first. Early decision is a one and done opportunity. The deadline is usually November 1st for most schools, and it is a school that the student absolutely loves, they are going to sign a bound agreement, basically stating that if they are accepted there, they will attend there. Okay. The one caveat is that because it's November 1st, most students will not have seen their financial aid package. Okay. So you're making a decision, a binding agreement. I sign it, parent signs it, students sign it, saying that the student will go there. It can be one school only. Early action has a little bit more flexibility because it's not a binding agreement. You can apply to more than one school early action, but it still gives the student the benefit of early consideration. So I would say that out of the 380, and Ms. Jason, I don't know if you want to correct me or have different sort of numbers, and this is just approximation, that there was a larger number of early action applications just because of the non-binding sort of part. And then regular decision has usually a January 1st, January 15th deadline. And there's also rolling admission, which basically means as soon as you get your application materials to the college will then go ahead and make a decision. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I didn't think that this was the slide that was coming next, so I apologize. So on the slide previous, there was a application type, and it mentioned the common application and the coalition application and school-specific applications. So those are the three major application sources that students will be directed to apply, you know, when they decide they want to apply. I get a lot of email questions or questions from parents about, can juniors apply early? The applications usually do not open until August of the student's senior year. Okay, so you just want to keep that.
Is this the slide, Chris, that you were looking for?
I was not looking for that slide. I had it different in my head, but you can leave this up too.
Okay, I know that these are just sort of the next couple.
Yeah, so this one you can leave right here because this talks about the application type. This is what I thought was right after that. Thanks, Heidi. So these are just web links, commonapp.org, coalitionforcollegeaccess.org, and then logging into the college specific, you know, to kind of find the application materials. All of this information, the reason sort of Naviance is the college planning tool is that students can access Naviance through their school district Infinite Campus login. Naviance has profiles for schools in the US and beyond. Next slide, please, Heidi. So it sort of is, the reason it's used is so the student can sort of build a profile. They can do a resume. They can do a comparison, a scattergram, a scatter plot, a scattergram, whatever, and sort of access all this information, and it's saved as they go along. So when they complete the Strengths Explorer as an 11th grader, I'll be able to see that when I pull up their account to work with them through the college process. Just, you know, it's great to sort of gain exposure. And like I said, my 9th graders are already working on SMART goals. 10th grade and 11th grade have tasks as well to do, to set goals or to return to the goals that they did last year and sort of modify and update those. So it's sort of a continuous process. The goal is a continuous process. Next slide, Heidi. So this is just a picture. I didn't want to kind of overwhelm. When students log into their Infinite Campus, they will see the icons that are there. And Naviance is that, yeah, Heidi has her little thing. It's next to that little cute penguin that says ST Math. So that's where all the magic happens with Naviance. Some of the students received task completion, or all of the students, my 9th graders received task completion, do this task by November 17th. So the district will prompt them to do that. So this is where all the magic happens. Next slide. So in Naviance, senior specific will have to go through a process of like matching Naviance with their Common App account. Naviance is where students will be requesting transcripts, teacher recommendations, and also not necessarily requesting counselor recommendations, but that's where they'll be able to see, you know, the Common App counselor form, the Common App school form. A couple things about teacher recommendations. Teacher recommendations are something that all students can work on right now. So I always get the question, can I use a teacher from ninth grade, or can I use a professor that I had through a summer program? Yes, absolutely. Now, we wouldn't be sending the letters of recommendation until senior year during that application process, but it's never too soon to start thinking about building relationships with adults who will be able to speak to your academic ability. So that is like totally fine. Oftentimes on average, schools look for 2 teacher recommendations. Some schools will allow 3 to be sent. A school like Temple is only allowing 1 recommendation max to be sent via Naviance. So just some things and nuances different for each school that students, you know, kind of need to keep track of. Or they can use Naviance and see all of that listed there as they list them as their schools. Counselor recommendations. Counselors are responsible for sending transcripts, sending any school-related forms, and also working with the student around writing a recommendation letter. Each counselor has a little bit of a different process in terms of, like, for me, for example, I'll talk to the student about, do you have an activities resume? Do you have a list of what you've done? The counselor recommendation typically is not, I know everything about a student recommendation. It's a little bit more general in terms of, we talk about what Central is, the fact that it's a special admissions school, the fact that this student has applied and got accepted. It talks about the students' classes and the rigor with which those classes sort of have challenged them. And then I also like to build in some extracurricular sort of pieces, or 1 or 2 things that the student is super proud of. So that counselor student relationship sort of happens over time, and with some support from each other and getting to know, that student. Next slide, Heidi. Yep, letters of recommendation. That's all right, Heidi. The students are encouraged to talk to the teachers who they want to ask to write a recommendation. Once they've received verbal approval, then, seniors jump into Naviance and make that request. I mentioned counselors will send transcripts and complete the necessary forms, and students and counselors should work together around the counselor recommendation. The next slide talks about SAT. This is a hot topic right now, as the pandemic itself has been a barrier, for lack of a better sort of situation for students. My recommendation for students, in particular juniors, right now, in a non-pandemic world, we would be encouraging them to register for the SAT in the spring, so May or June. I would encourage students to still plan ahead and register for those tests. If those tests are canceled, students will have an opportunity in the summer, hopefully, to get access to those tests. With that being said, many colleges and universities have gone test optional, which I think is a wonderful sort of experience. I think that it has, at least for seniors that I'm working with, alleviated a lot of stress around the pressure that, in my opinion, are standardized tests, whether it be the SAT or the ACT. And offline and not at the home and school meeting. But It'll be curious to see how colleges will review applications. I think that what will become paramount will be students' grades, the rigor of their classes, and their teacher recommendations. I think will be, you know, instead of schools being able to say, okay, well, we're going to take the top 500 kids up into this SAT cutoff, they're really going to have to look at schools holistically, or look at students holistically. And this is a first time for us. So I'm curious to see what the data shows. And, you know, in the spring, we can certainly sort of circle back to home and school and share what we're finding. But at this point, it remains kind of unseen, you know, what is happening. I mean, early indications, kids are being accepted. I'm feeling super optimistic, but I don't have any data to share. So that's just mere speculation. So in a non-pandemic perfect world, students that have access to standardized tests, students are responsible for sending their SAT scores from the testing agency. In years past, probably within the 10 years prior, schools would get little stickers and we would put it on the transcript and send all of the scores. The reason that stopped is because students were given the opportunity to do score choice, which basically meant they got to pick and choose what scores they wanted to send, which totally makes sense. They're their scores. So there is a cost for that. It's $12 to send those score reports. There are fee waivers available, which I'll talk about in a hot minute. Next slide, Heidi. Yep. So we encourage, I don't know why I put must there because there's never a must, are encouraged, actually, no, that is a must. So I talked about early action, early decision deadline for junior parents. Your senior must have taken the ACT or the ACT or SAT by the November test date in order for those scores to be considered. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're planning. Fee waivers for both tests are available in the counseling office. Typically, each of the counselors have codes, so you could just email your counselor, your child's counselor, and we'll give you a code. Take care of that. And then I spoke about the limitations due to COVID. I would really still encourage students to register and or check out colleges. Someone's unmuted. You know, still check out colleges to see about test optional policies, because that may be, so for example, me, if you use me, I would have loved test optional. I was not a strong test taker, took the SAT 6 times, had 2 tutoring sessions because I'm old, so they considered them like testing tutoring sessions. I didn't even break 1,000. So I would have loved the opportunity to do test optional. But for students who are really good test takers, you know, I think that there's some merit to checking out the test optional policy versus, you know, submitting scores. Next slide. Application fee waivers. Within the Common App, any student, because all students in the School District of Philadelphia are eligible for free and reduced lunch, are eligible for the Common App fee waiver. So this slide I just lifted off of what we share with our students. It's actually in the Common Application profile tab. The student just has to make sure that they click yes. Students that get a College Board fee waiver to take the test are able to use the fee waiver to send scores to schools. So they can send 4 score sets to schools for free. So again, I know that I'm sort of going through this a little fast. These slides are going to be available. Next slide, please. But please do not hesitate to reach out. At the bottom of this slide, I include my email. Don't hesitate to reach out, and just sort of a plea for your support. We are 5 counselors managing the needs of 2,400. We are sort of feeling optimistic, but there are days that are really, really hard. Just to give you some context, the needs of our students and our staff, the number of staff that have needed support from counselors for their own families, their own children, their own mental health, are massive, and included or not limited to academic, emotional, family, and financial needs. And we are trying as hard as possible to accommodate all the needs of your children, all of your needs, all of administrators' needs, teachers' needs. And with that said, on behalf of the counseling department, we really do thank you for your support. We do receive, it's so nice to get emails and sort of acknowledgement that this is hard. We can't imagine how hard it is for you seeing your baby struggle. And so for us not being able to say like, hey, yes, I can meet you in person and we can go through this, and yeah, come to school and we'll have a meeting, has been a very daunting task. And we want to partner with you, and we want to support you as best we can. So with that, I talked a lot. I don't know, Heidi, if you want me to go through the chat and answer questions.
I mean, I have been monitoring the chat with some of my, home and school team
Okay.
members. So I have 6 questions so far.
Okay.
I'll just read them off, and then
Sure.
Deb, if I missed any, let me know if you can throw them in at the end. So the first one is a question about December 8th. How does a senior coordinate with the PA fair in terms of, are all applications submitted free that day or that night? Do you know anything about that?
Miss Jason, do you have any sort of inside scoop?
So I believe that's the Pesci Fair that perhaps they're.
Oh, the Pennsylvania State Fair System. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So usually during that, Miss Jason, did you want to talk? I just cut you off.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Usually during that, students register, and the admissions representatives. So this is how it happens in person. So let me try to envision, and I can certainly, Heidi, get you more information about specifics. Is usually the students are encouraged to complete an application. The PASHE, the Pennsylvania State Higher Education, blah, blah, blah system, state system. The application is 1 or 2 pages, and the admissions officer will waive the application fee on site for that student. But how about I get more information, a flyer or something, and then I can send that to you, Heidi, to post?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is just a sort of, somebody was looking in Naviance and curious how accurate Naviance is, because, for example, it says right now that so far this year, over 40 Central students have applied to Cornell.
Yeah, I just actually pulled up the stats for Penn, and it shows that we have 162 seniors that have already submitted applications to Penn and 24 to Cornell. So using the scattergrams, it is accurate because it pulls data directly from the applications that are submitted.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next question, I believe this is yes, but can parents see and access Naviance?
So there is a unique parent registration code that we can give to parents if they request it. They would have to reach out to us, and we would have to go into the student's account and then share that code. There isn't one general code. It's unique for each student. So if any parents want their own access, they can certainly reach out to their child's counselor, and we would provide that. It may just be easier for them to go directly through and have their child pull up their account and look at it that way. But if they want to kind of peer and see it on their own and kind of view the progress that they're making, we can certainly set that up for them.
Okay, thank you. Any idea how many of the 600 or so seniors have taken the SAT so far, because so many sessions have been canceled?
No.
No.
I mean, I would say based on the number of students that I've talked to, I would say we have a good 70-75% of seniors who have had at least one exposure to the SAT.
Okay. How important is in the test optional scenario, how important is the essay in comparison to that standardized test?
I think it's hard to say that those two can be compared, right? Because one is quantitative, one is qualitative. But I think that the essay, in addition to the transcript and the counsel recommendations, are going to carry more weight, right? Because there's not going to be that test score. I think the GPA in the SAT might be more closely important as compared to the essay because of the qualitative nature of it. I mean, I'm telling my students with the essay, I was a former admissions representative at Arcadia, and when you're reading 3,000 applications and keep hearing the same thing like, hey, I'm Chris Soda and I'm smart and I went to Central and I played softball and I was the vice president and I was this. I've been encouraging students to think about sort of one specific instance, right? Like, I was on stage giving my speech, at the honors convocation or something, and how I grew and how I learned. Like telling the admissions officer or giving the admissions officer something to remember you by as compared to sort of just a general, hey, I am this. They have all that information on your application. They know all the activities you're in. They know the classes you've been in, but they don't know that you're an Eagle Scout and this was your project. They don't know that, you were a teaching assistant at Temple in their undergraduate program. They don't know that you're involved at church. They don't know that you're responsible for childcare for 3 younger siblings, right? Like, so something unique, I think, is going to be paramount in demonstrating a kid's ability to think critically, their ability to sort of talk about themselves in a way that's persuasive. But in terms of that SAT, I think the comparison will, the replacement factor would be the GPA more so than the essay. Not discounting the essay, but because that's a quantitative sort of number, I think that will be more closely looked at.
Okay, and then there's a related question. Are you encouraging students to do the optional essays in the Common App, especially the one from COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's important, especially if we have a large number of students who have been impacted in some way, shape, or form significantly. Many deaths of family members, many job losses, many, chronic health issues as a result that have taken a toll on students academically. So yes, if it is, I always tell the kids, like, if it's something that's weighing on your heart to share, then use that as an opportunity to share.
Okay, great, thanks. Last question I have is, do you think colleges will remain test optional for the 281 class?
What are we, 280? Yeah, 280. I would imagine yes. I imagine, and of course I don't remember, I was reading something, I don't know if it was US News, that it would go through 2023 graduation year. But that was US News and World Report. But I would say it would have to go through for I mean, Ms. Chasen, what do you think? I mean, I'm thinking definitely for our current juniors, especially because we don't know when juniors will be able to access the test. I mean, I think accessing the SAT will really be a determining factor. But I already know schools have announced, no test or test optional through 2022. But we will get that information to you to share, as we get it. I mean, our goal moving forward is to just, sort of flood as much information as we can to you. Sometimes we think and we hold back because it's like information that doesn't apply to everybody, but in the time that we're in a pandemic, I think would be better to sort of flood, and parents can take what they need, leave what they don't, and at least sort of feel informed around stuff. And if there's things that you want information about, Heidi, just, if you're hearing things, seeing things on the listserv, just, reach out and we'll answer questions, kind of like a frequently asked questions list or something.
Thank you. That's great. There's one more question.
Sure.
About whether there's any more amnesty dates this year.
Amnesty dates, yes. I don't know if the dates have been set, but I know the leadership team talked about amnesty days right before the January 1st deadline for seniors, but I will get confirmation on that. I'll send that to you along with the Pennsylvania fair information.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much for being on and for facilitating this session. We have a few more things to cover for general home and school stuff, and you're welcome to join and stay on. There's a very high likelihood that more questions are going to pop up in the chat.
Sure.
If you want to stick around for that,
Sure.
we can come back.
Heidi, there was a question before you start. Two parents, LK and Dana Reed, was an amnesty day. Sorry for not clarifying that. So an amnesty day, basically, I don't know why they're called amnesty days actually, but basically it exempts seniors from any work. We did it 2 days before the early decision deadline of November 1st. So it was that Thursday and Friday before the November 1st date. Teachers were not permitted to give any work. Basically, students could use those 2 days to focus solely on tidying up their applications, submitting, working, however they wanted to. But there was some talk about doing another day or two before the regular decision deadline, which usually is January 1st.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that amnesty days are the best. I love it. Yeah, homework for seniors. So I think I'm gonna hop off just because I have some family commitments. I appreciate all the kind words. And please, please, please. I know that we say that we are busy, but we're here to support you. So do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Nina, you're up for treasurer's report.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll make this sort of short, simple, and sweet. In the past month, in the month of October, we raised an additional $2,100 for laptops. So a pretty quiet month compared to the previous month. And so we have raised a little over $30,000 to date. A check for $30,000 was mailed and cut to President McKenna today and sent off for to support the purchase of the laptops. And that we get the schedule right. We'll have a meeting of the HSA to kind of look at our funds that we still have remaining from last year and determining how to allocate them and what to spend them on based upon any requests that are coming in from the administration. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Nina. Robin, for fundraising.
Sure. Again, thanks to everybody for your donations. We'll throw some media requests like through Facebook and through Twitter, or not Twitter, Twitter, to get some additional donations to continue supporting the purchase of the laptops. I know Mr. McKenna said that he's hoping to put in an order in the next couple weeks, and has some additional school funding that he's going to use to buy some additional laptops as well. So anything that you can donate is definitely appreciated as we continue on with this virtual learning experience. Spiritware, I know I said last month we were going to have it up shortly, but we actually do have a plan to get it up. So we'll get Spiritware out there and get that out. Throw out some emails and things so that you can see what you can order potentially for Christmas, some holiday presents under the tree, some central gear. And auction, Heidi and I were just chatting about it. Maybe we'll look into doing it. It's like unlikely that we would be able to have some sort of in-person auction, but perhaps we can do something online. One thing that was well received a couple years ago was all the artwork that the Central students do. So they had some fantastic photos that Central students had done, and paintings and ceramics. And so we will check in with the art teacher and see if there's any of that, and certainly reach out for services and other things. It would certainly be hard to get restaurants and some of those other items that we typically get, but I think we can be creative and still make it a fun experience for everybody. So there will be more to come on that. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Robin. I don't have a slide up, but Alex does have an interesting proposal for campus beautification connected to some of the work that was done in the renovation. So Alex, if you want to just give people an update on that.
Sure. So with the installation of the new parking lot, we had 6 rain gardens installed. And then there's also several patches of meadow that are being started. And it's rather labor intensive to start a meadow and get it to run properly. So what we're thinking is that we might create some student groups who would, a small number of students who would adopt one of the, each one of the rain gardens and adopt a patch of meadow. So I am enthusiastic about this project, but not necessarily knowledgeable about what it is should be in there and what it is that shouldn't. So one is just, if people are interested in the project and want to help with that, that's great. You can get in touch with me. I just put my email into the chat. But particularly if you have some knowledge or know somebody who might be able to help with some of those, a lot of what we're going to be doing is weeding. So a lot of establishing a meadow is trying to stop the things from growing that tend to invade into these spaces, so that you give room for those pollinators and the interesting plants we want to have there to be able to grow. So if you have some knowledge around that and be willing to work with some of our student groups, which we're in the beginning phase of figuring this out, and this is a project that will be happening in the spring, and we'll know more about whatever our COVID restrictions are, but also start to get ahead of a little bit of the growing season.
So as Alex said, he put his info in the chat. If you're interested, send him an email or get in touch. And we're also trying to connect with a few of the student clubs who are also interested in sustainability and environmental things. So thanks, Alex. Any class updates? We have 280 to start with. Deb or Andrea?
Better if I could unmute myself. I know that, is that Andrea, did you want to go ahead and do it?
Sure. It's been a super difficult year for 280, and I know that everybody is sick of being home. So I have been thinking of a ton of ideas that we could do for the 280 in particular. I don't know how information is given to the 280 parents. And so I'd like to get some information, throw my email out there, Deb's email out there, and start getting feedback from parents and what they're willing to do and with some ideas of what they could do. Some things I thought of that would be great ideas was I thought we could do Adopt a Senior. Schools all over the nation have been doing that. We could figure out a way to do that for the seniors. Some things, one of the things that I keep hearing about is a class button. I didn't know what a class button was. It's apparently something at Central that goes back quite a while. Every kid gets one. While I'm not sure that the seniors are really interested in class buttons, some things that they might be interested in are things like the lawn signs or the window signs for the 280. I thought maybe we could consider getting a 280 Central mask for them, a 221 t-shirt or sweatshirt. I reached out to see about getting yearbooks early to maybe do in the spring to see if there was a possibility to do like an outdoor signing event. That will obviously have to be on hold until 1, we know about the yearbooks, and 2, we have any information regarding school. I thought that we could consider, obviously not at this time, but possibly in the spring, doing a dodgeball tournament for the people who, freshman parents. It's something that Central does every year. It's usually all grades and teams. I thought if worst case scenario, maybe we could do just seniors and do it outside. And then one thing I thought that the seniors could do is potentially do a senior blood drive. I know that blood drives are really important. I know that it's difficult to coordinate this now with the new requirements, the recommendations from the mayor, but possibly doing something like that. And I know that, I don't know if Ms. Kincaid is on there, but I know that they just elected the student council, and I'm sure that they have ideas of what they need to do and what they would plan on doing. One thing I had heard, and again, and I keep suggesting, and I want to be part of a part of the solution is just information. And even if the information is to just say, you know what, at this point, we don't know. I think parents would rather have more information than less. And so that's where I think that we're at. You know, I'm willing to share whatever I have. In terms of, you know, prom and things like that, I don't think we'll be able to make any decision, or they'll be able to make any decisions until the spring or after the winter. But maybe they have some additional information. I wasn't able to get that.
I just want to add that when we spoke with Mr. McKenna today, we all know that we can't plan any of this right now because none of this is allowed, and until we get any go-aheads from 440, there's not a lot that we can plan or do. The other part of it is, and he brought up an excellent point, is equity. Anything that we do, we have to be able to make sure, that, like, you know, say Frankfurt High School or Lincoln or any of those are also able to do. So we can't be special. I mean, we're special, but we can't be, the district has to give every school equal access to events like this. So I just don't want anybody to get like, oh, but you said you were going to do this, this, and this. And I don't want to give false hope. Right now, we're hoping that we can do all of these things, but we don't have any go-aheads from 440. So if you guys have suggestions or questions or anything like that, I will leave my email in the chat, or you obviously can always message the parent listserv.
And
one more quick thing. Ms. Kincaid did say she has a cabinet now, and so the kids are working on figuring out how they're going to do the yearbook and their buttons and their t-shirts, and they want to take the lead on those things.
Yeah.
And I also think, personally, with going back to what Deb said regarding what, applies to us has to apply to the district at whole. I think that this is a great opportunity to reach out to Dr. Height to give principals some autonomy. And we have a wonderful home and school, and have them potentially jump in and help out. So that's my thoughts.
Okay.
And I will leave my email as well.
Okay, do we have anybody on from 281 who was in touch with Mr. Horowitz?
Yeah, I spoke to Mr. Horowitz, but there's not too much to update because we're stuck in a holding pattern. Anybody who knows Mr. Horowitz, he has 1,000 ideas as what the junior class is going to be doing as soon as the restrictions are uplifted or we venture into next year. So a lot of planning that Mr. Horowitz is doing with the officers, and they're looking into a lot of things, but he wanted to make it known that they're talking, they have ideas, they're not going to say too much because they don't want to put false hope. He did say that this Friday is the deadline for the sweatshirt designs for the 281 class. So once the submissions are in on Friday, then the kids are going to vote on which submission wins, and then the information will go out for ordering the sweatshirts, and the sweatshirts will be shipped directly to the students' homes since they can't get them. Rings, he was hoping for January for a ring ceremony. Clearly, we're not doing that. So junior parents or 281 parents can still continue to order the rings. There's no deadline to order the rings. I reported last month that it takes about 6 weeks for the rings to get in. So, if and when something is planned, hope to have the rings in by then, but there's no deadline as of right now. And that's really all we have.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right. Do we have anybody on for 282 sophomores? Lisa? Nope.
Sorry, I'm here. I don't have any information.
Okay. I mean, we all know that this was a tough month with everybody getting ready for the end of the marking period. So
Yeah.
And aside from that, there really isn't a whole lot that they're able to do. So just wanted to check in.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. And then 283.
Yes. Hi. So we just have a couple things, mostly repetitive though. Dr. Soda is having a town hall for 283 on Wednesday, the 25th at 12 p.m. Also, report card conferences are next week. Because our kids are freshmen and they're new, we really need to encourage them to check Google Classroom and keep up with this stuff because they do miss things. And the other thing is that Dr. Soda shared something that would be of interest to all parents from the Child Mind Institute about supporting our students during COVID. And it just has some mental health suggestions, and I didn't read it carefully, but I skimmed it and it looked pretty helpful as sort of just support for us and in supporting them. But that's it.
Okay.
And I'll just say that I put the PDF of that Child Mind Institute document into the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Deb.
Awesome. Yep. Okay. So I think that wraps up for the most part. This is just a slide reminding you about the next programming in December. We will be covering the IB program. So I know that tends to be one that's very heavily populated with sophomore parents, because that's the year that you work with your student to decide if they're interested in applying for IB and understanding what that takes. In January, we'll also be reviewing subject selection and the process for that at Central. I remember when I was a freshman parent, that was eye-opening for me, to learn about all of the different electives that are available, the different numbers of required classes for each grade, et cetera. So also a really good program. And then, yeah, we'll move in through February and the end of the year, but let's see where we are in January with online school and how it's going for everybody.
Heidi, can I just ask you a question? And I don't know if this was mentioned during the meeting and I missed it, but I know, I feel like it was right around the last homeschool meeting. There was an email that went around saying that we were going to look into class-specific email listservs. Did anything ever come from that, or is it something that if we're not doing as a whole, that maybe that me and our other rep can work with Mr. Horowitz to have one? Because I think especially with juniors and seniors, there's so much specific things that they want to specify. I don't want to send things out on the general listserv.
So was that communication for students or for parents?
For parents.
Okay. I mean, I think that what we would suggest, and Deb, you can correct me, but because we've got this Google group set up now, what the preference is that you take the subject line as 281 parent update and provide that information. Everybody who's subscribed is going to get that, but at least that lets people see that it's relevant to them or not. And a conversation or discussion can happen under that subject heading so that it keeps that contained. So if people want to go back and search on, stuff that's related to 281, that will come up.
Okay. So should we not entertain the idea of maybe not through listserv, but just us working with Mr. Horowitz to get just a general 281 class email to go out? Do we not want to do that?
I mean, I think it's worth talking about, but I do know, I think in the beginning of the year, didn't each of the different class sponsors share, they shared a sign-up sheet for parents that was class specific so that they could communicate through that email group.
Okay, I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah, that was it was probably in the meeting summary from September. But we can go back and pull that out. That's something I can try and find and send to you as a, if you want to look at that and then check in on these other ideas.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so just a reminder then, Thanksgiving's coming up, holiday, so school's closed. And also, if you missed it in the beginning, school is half day next week on Tuesday and Wednesday for parent-teacher conferences. And we will see you all back in December.
Hello, I'm sorry. Can I ask one question very quick?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for your time and I appreciate it. And quick question is, if students join the IB program, do they can join computer science?
I'm sorry,
if a student in IB program,
yeah,
can they join computer science?
Are you room for any electives in IB?
I'm sorry?
I don't know that they have any room for electives in IB. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you'll definitely want to come to next month's meeting because all of that will be answered.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.